Money has this funny way of changing people, not because money itself is evil. It's not, but because it magnifies whatever is already there. If you're generous, you become more generous. If you're insecure, you become more insecure. If you're arrogant, it turns into full-blown pride. And that's exactly what happened when my daughter suddenly got $33 million. Overnight, she went from being someone I had loved, nurtured, and sacrificed for to someone I barely recognized. I remember the moment it happened. She wasn't the same. Her voice had changed. Her words cut in a way I never thought they would. It wasn't just money hitting her bank account. It was ego, entitlement, and this false belief that she didn't need anyone anymore. Especially me. Imagine that. Your own child, the one you stayed up nights worrying about, the one you worked double shifts for, suddenly looking at you like you're disposable. Like all the years of love and sacrifice didn't matter anymore. And then she threw me out. Now, let me tell you, that wasn't just a door closing behind me. That was years of love slamming shut. That was the sound of a heart breaking. Because here's the truth: rejection doesn't hurt most when it comes from strangers. It hurts most when it comes from the people you thought would always be on your side. And in that moment, standing there with nothing but my pride and a whole lot of pain, I realized something. Money doesn't just change the person who gets it. It tests everyone around them. It tested me. It tested how much of myself I was willing to lose to hold on to someone I loved. And it tested her too. Because when she looked at those millions, she thought she was invincible. She thought wealth meant freedom, and that freedom meant cutting ties with the very roots that had held her steady her whole life. And that's a dangerous illusion. See, when money shows up, it doesn't hand you a manual. It doesn't whisper in your ear, "Hey, be careful. This could ruin everything if you're not grounded." No. It just drops in, and suddenly you're left to decide what matters most, your pride or your people. And my daughter chose pride. She chose to believe that money made her stronger than love, wiser than guidance, and bigger than the very foundation that raised her. And I'll be honest, in that moment, I was angry. I was heartbroken. But I wasn't surprised, because life has a way of testing us in the exact places we think we're untouchable. And her test came in the form of $33 million. Mine came in the form of losing her. Here's the punchline: money might make you richer, but it doesn't make you better. And in that moment, she lost something far more valuable than all the millions in her account. She lost sight of who she really was. And that's the most expensive mistake anyone can make. You know what really gets you when something like this happens? It's not the money itself, it's the betrayal. Because betrayal doesn't show up with warning lights. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, just so you know, I'm about to break your heart." No. Betrayal walks in wearing the face of someone you love. And that's what cuts the deepest. When my daughter threw me out after coming into that money, it wasn't just rejection. It was a betrayal of everything I thought we stood for as a family. You pour yourself into someone, you give them everything you've got. Your time, your sweat, your sacrifice. And you assume that bond is unshakable. But then, suddenly, with the stroke of a pen or a number in a bank account, the bond snaps. It's like standing in front of a mirror and watching it shatter in slow motion. And you're left holding sharp pieces, wondering how in the world things could break so fast. Here's the thing about betrayal: it's never just about what's done to you. It's about what it awakens inside of you. That sting, that ache in your chest, that lump in your throat. It makes you question everything. Was the love real? Did all those sacrifices matter? Was I blind the whole time? And those questions, they don't just hurt, they gnaw at you. They sit with you when you're alone. They echo in your head at night. And when it comes from your own child, that pain is almost indescribable. Because you can't just turn off love like a switch. You can't say, well, fine, forget her. No, you still love her even when she's the one swinging the blade. That's the cruel trick of betrayal. It leaves you wounded by someone you'd still step in front of a bus to protect. But here's what I realized standing in the middle of that storm's betrayal is proof of your own strength. It's proof that you had the courage to love deeply in the first place. It's proof that you risked your heart even when you knew it might get broken. And while betrayal can take the wind out of you, it can't take your worth. It can't erase who you are. See, the danger isn't betrayal itself. The real danger is letting it harden you, letting it convince you that love isn't worth it, or that trust should never be given again. Because that's how you lose twice, once to the betrayal and again to the bitterness it leaves behind. So yes, when my daughter shut that door on me, I felt the sting of betrayal. It was sharp, it was deep, and it left me questioning everything. But it also taught me something I'll never forget. Betrayal says more about the person who delivers it than the one who receives it. And I refuse to let someone else's weakness turn my love into hate. Because the deepest cuts may wound you, but they'll never define you. Arrogance is a tricky thing, isn't it? It sneaks in disguised as confidence. And when money is involved, arrogance shows up fast and loud. That's what happened here. My daughter believed that because she had $33 million, she suddenly didn't need advice. She didn't need guidance. She didn't need the people who had been by her side her whole life. She confused wealth with wisdom. And let me tell you, those two are not the same thing. Wisdom is earned. It comes from falling flat on your face, from making mistakes, from learning hard lessons that money can't buy your way out of. Wealth, on the other hand, can be inherited, can fall into your lap, can appear in an instant. And when you've got wealth without wisdom, that's like handing the keys of a Ferrari to someone who just learned how to ride a bicycle. They might look like they're in control for a moment, but sooner or later, they're going to crash. And that's exactly what I saw happening. I watched my daughter wear arrogance like armor. She thought she was invincible. She thought the money gave her power, independence, a sense that she didn't owe anyone anything anymore. But what she couldn't see was that arrogance blinds you. It blocks out the voices that care about you. It turns friends into enemies, mentors into nuisances, and family into disposable extras. Here's the truth about arrogance. It's fragile. It struts around like it's strong. But the first real test, the first hard moment, and arrogance crumbles. Confidence can withstand pressure. Humility can bend and adapt. But arrogance snaps. And when it snapped for her, it was quick. 3 days. That's all it took. 3 days for the illusion of control to turn into desperation. 3 days for her to realize that money didn't automatically give her experience, character, or the ability to handle everything on her own. Because here's the thing, you can buy a mansion, but you can't buy maturity. You can buy status, but you can't buy wisdom. You can buy influence, but you can't buy loyalty. It's easy to look at somebody else's arrogance and judge it, but the truth is, we all wrestle with it in different ways. Every one of us has had a moment where we thought, I don't need help. I can handle this on my own. But the sooner you realize that asking for help doesn't make you weak, it makes you smart, the sooner you avoid the crash. My daughter learned that lesson the hard way. She mistook arrogance for strength and paid the price. And as painful as it was for me to watch, it reminded me of a truth that we all need to keep close. Arrogance is nothing more than insecurity dressed up inexpensive clothes. And sooner or later, those clothes wear thin and the truth shows through. The thing about illusions is they don't last. You can only fake strength for so long before reality shows up and pulls the rug out from under you. That's exactly what happened after my daughter pushed me away. For 3 days, she lived in this fantasy that money made her untouchable. But here's the truth. Life doesn't care how many zeros you've got in your bank account. Life has a way of humbling you when you least expect it. At first, she was riding high, surrounded by people clapping for her, nodding at every idea, feeding her ego. But when the shine wore off, when the dust settled, the cracks started to show. And that's the thing about sudden fortune. It attracts the wrong crowd. People who don't care about you, only what they can get from you. Smiles that hide motives, promises that vanish the second things get tough. In just 3 days, she started to see that all those voices cheering her on weren't really there for her. They were there for what she had. And that's when it hit her. Money can buy a lot of things, but it can't buy wisdom. It can't buy trust. It can't buy the security of knowing that someone has your back when everything else falls apart. She learned that in the hardest way possible, by falling flat on her face in front of the very people who told her she didn't need anyone. There's a funny thing about downfall. It strips away the noise. When you're up high, you don't notice who's clapping for you because everyone's clapping. But when you're down low, when the music stops and the lights go out, that's when you see who's really standing beside you. And in her case, nobody was. The same crowd that told her she didn't need me was gone the second the pressure showed up. 3 days. That's all it took. 3 days for her to go from arrogance to panic, from independence to desperation. 3 days to realize that the very person she thought she didn't need was the only one who truly wanted the best for her. That's what life does. It humbles you, and the longer you fight it, the harder you fall. Now, don't get me wrong. Watching it unfold wasn't easy. As a parent, you don't want to see your child hurt, even when you know they brought it on themselves. But sometimes, the downfall is the only teacher they'll listen to. Sometimes, life has to strip away everything they thought made them strong just to show them what real strength looks like. Because here's the truth. Illusions might keep you standing for a moment, but only humility will keep you standing for a lifetime. And when the curtain falls, pride will leave you empty, but humility will keep you alive. I'll never forget the moment she came back. 3 days earlier, she was slamming the door, telling me she didn't need me, that she could handle it all on her own. And now she was standing in front of me with tears in her eyes, her voice shaking, begging for help. It wasn't the money that had broken her. It was the loneliness. It was the pressure. It was realizing that $33 million can't hold you when you're scared. It can't comfort you when you're lost. It can't give you wisdom when your world is spinning out of control. And that's when the arrogance was gone. The pride was gone. What I saw in front of me was my child again. Not the millionaire, not the woman who thought she could conquer the world, but my daughter, the same person I'd raised, the same person who once reached for my hand when she was afraid of the dark. In that moment, she didn't want my money. She didn't want my approval. She wanted me. She wanted her parent. And there is no amount of money in the world that can replace that. It's humbling, isn't it? How quickly life can bring us back to what really matters. 3 days of pretending to be invincible, and suddenly she was face to face with the truth: you can't do this life alone. None of us can. We all need people who care about us, who will tell us the hard truth, who will show up even when we've been pushed away. That's what she was begging for. Not my advice about the money. not strategies or plans. She was begging for connection, for love, for the reminder that she wasn't as alone as she felt. And here's the thing, I had every right to stay angry. I had every reason to turn her away. She had thrown me out, humiliated me, made me feel disposable. But love doesn't keep score like that. Love doesn't say, well, you hurt me, so now I'll hurt you. Love says, even when you fail, even when you fall apart, I'll still be here. I told her what she needed to hear, not what she wanted to hear. I reminded her that money is loud, but wisdom whispers. That the people who really care about you don't always clap for you. Sometimes they correct you. And that the real strength in life doesn't come from shutting people out. It comes from knowing when to let them in. When she was begging for my help, she wasn't just asking for advice. She was asking for forgiveness. And as much as it hurt to be thrown away, it would have hurt more to let pride keep me from giving her what she needed most. Because at the end of the day, money fades, pride breaks, but love, real love, always answers the knock on the door. And when she knocked, I opened. Here's what all of this comes down to. Money comes and goes. Status comes and goes. People will walk in and out of your life. But what really lasts? The thing that defines whether you rise or whether you fall is your consistency. It's the choices you make every single day, the way you treat people, the values you stand on even when the world tempts you to abandon them. That's what builds a life that can't be shaken. When my daughter came back, broken and humbled, it wasn't about the money anymore. It wasn't about $33 million or the crowd that had disappeared the second things got tough. It was about realizing that the only thing strong enough to hold you steady in this life is what you do consistently. Respect, gratitude, humility. Those aren't one-time decisions. Those are daily choices. And if you don't make them consistently, all the money in the world won't save you. Think about it. Success isn't built on one big moment. It's built on small, repeated actions. Just like failure isn't one bad decision. It's the accumulation of ignoring the little things day after day until it all collapses. My daughter thought money was the shortcut, the cheat code to independence. But she learned the hard way that without consistent character, money just accelerates the downfall. That's why consistency is so powerful. Consistency is stronger than luck, stronger than talent, stronger than any dollar amount you could ever win or inherit. Because consistency turns values into habits and habits into a life. And that's what this entire journey has taught me. When she came begging for my help, I didn't save her with a big, dramatic gesture. I didn't give her some secret formula. I just reminded her of the simple truths she'd forgotten. The truths I'd been living out every single day. That you show up for the people you love. That you treat others with respect even when you don't feel like it. That you ask for help when you need it and you offer it when someone else is struggling. Consistency is boring. It's not flashy like a sudden windfall of millions. But it's reliable. It's steady. And in the end, it's what keeps you grounded when life throws its biggest storms at you. Here's the beautiful part, anyone can choose it. You don't need money, you don't need privilege, you don't need luck. All you need is the courage to show up every day, even when it's hard, even when it's not glamorous, even when nobody's watching. That's the lesson my daughter learned. That's the lesson I want you to take away. Because at the end of the day, money might give you options, but consistency gives you peace. And peace is the real wealth worth fighting for.